The research continues to show that porn destroys your brain. It ruins your ability to connect, it ruins your confidence, and it destroys your productivity. But we know that already. So the real question is, can you reset your brain? Can you detox your brain from the harmful effects of pornography? The answer is absolutely 100% without the shadow of a doubt. Yes. And in this content today, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. Now, before I jump in, guys, welcome to the Man Within podcast. I'm so glad that you're listening, and I'm so glad that you're here. If you're watching on YouTube, a big welcome to you as well. We're really pushing our content out here on this channel these days. I want to let you guys know that I have a book called The Last Relapse. I wrote it a few years ago. It's been read by over 20,000 men who were serious about quitting pornography. And so if you want to detox your brain properly, obviously today's content is going to help you tremendously. The next step after is to get The Last Relapse. And you can get a free copy at thelastrelapsebook.com. That's my way of just saying I want to help as many guys as possible, and that's why I've made it free. If you are a physical book kind of person, you can order it anywhere books are sold, and we donate all the profit that we make from that to a charity in Uganda that's furthering the gospel. It's a win-win-win either way, so that you can have a blueprint and a full roadmap on how to quit pornography from start to finish. Go to thelastrelapsebook.com to buy your copy. Okay, today we are talking about how to detox your brain from pornography. This is a really important subject. And like I said at the beginning, we know that pornography affects the brain. We know the harmful effects. I've done so many episodes on this podcast about the harmful effects of pornography, and I don't think I need to belabor that point anymore. The first question that you're probably wondering, though, is how do you know that my brain could be detoxed? Like, sure, I understand maybe the average brain could, but Sathia, you don't know how much pornography I've watched. Sathia, you don't know what I've watched. Sathia, you don't know what I've done. And I'm here to tell you today that I don't need to know any of those details to know that your brain can absolutely detox from pornography. And that's not because I'm some sort of guru with a magic trick and, just for $39.99, you can detox your brain, What I'm trying to tell you is that all the data suggests that the brain is plastic even in later stages of life. Until you breathe your last, your brain has the ability to change. And maybe more importantly, scripture tells us that we are transformed, we change form by the renewing of our mind. Okay, not the renewing of our brain, so different language, but very similar language, the renewing of our mind. Now, I don't have the time today to go into, the difference between your mind and your brain and how they interplay with one another. They are two different entities, but there's a lot of overlap and obviously a lot of impact in both directions. However, what I do want to tell you today is whether you look at scripture or whether you look at science, it's very, very clear that we can, in fact, change, and that's really, really good news. So the question is, what does it look like for you to detox your brain from pornography? Well, the first thing that you need to do is you need to draw a hard line in the sand that says no more porn. Look, here is the deal. You likely started watching pornography at a young age. You certainly got exposed at a young age, and you probably continued to watch more and more frequently as time went on. The problem is you're still sexually developing. So this ability that we have to change even in the later years of our life is exponentially amplified when we are in the developmental stages of life, especially puberty. That is a very, very sensitive time for sexual development. And so what that means is when you are watching pornography in those stages, your brain and your body are getting hardwired. They're getting very attached and very dependent on the dopamine that is secreted when you view pornography. And it's not just dopamine, that's the one everybody knows, but there's serotonin and oxytocin and a whole bunch of other neurochemicals that are at play here. So the reason this is important for us to understand is because if you try to just reduce the amount of pornography that you watch, if we're talking about a proper detox, that will never work. Because even if you went from watching every single day to watching once a month, when you watch it that one time, once a month, it's going to trigger all of the circuitry, all of the pathways in your body, and it's very unlikely you will stay at once a month. The frequency is likely to pick up, or Maybe the frequency stays the same, but then you have more intense binges when you have your monthly slip or whatever it is. You got to draw a hard line in the sand. Now, let's not make the time scale too long here. Let's make it for 30 days. 30 days without pornography. That is step one. Step two is we must eliminate or manage the gateway drugs. Eliminate or manage the gateway drugs. In the context of pornography, we're dealing with two in particular: social media and the phone. And obviously, you can imagine social media on the phone is like, this whole thing on steroids. So we have to manage the gateway drugs, because if we don't manage the gateway drugs will manage us. And you might draw a hard line in the sand and you might have every earnest intent to quit pornography, but you'll fall back into it because the gateway drugs make you so vulnerable and so prone to making bad decisions that you couldn't avoid it even if you wanted to. So yes, you need to draw a hard line in the sand with pornography. With social media, my personal recommendation would be to just eliminate social media altogether. What do you need it for? And if you do it for business, hire somebody to run it for you. And if you're like, I can't afford to hire somebody to manage it for me, then you probably don't generate enough revenue from social media, so it probably doesn't matter if you went off the grid for a little bit. Wouldn't make that big of a difference. The third thing there is your phone. Now, do you eliminate your phone? No, I'm not of that personal opinion. I am of the opinion that you should do a couple of things to really maximize your phone and make sure that it is serving you and that you are not serving it. Turn off notifications, number one. Remove all apps that don't need to be on there, social media included, news, sports, all that good stuff. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Did you just say sports? Yes, I said sports. Now, am I saying don't engage with sports? No. Am I saying don't pay attention to sports on your phone? I'm actually not even saying that. I'm just saying get rid of the app, and when you want to go check a score or read up on some sports, go into your browser. Just add an extra barrier to make it a little bit more difficult. Look, I'm a sports nut, okay? I'm a little bit sleep deprived this morning because I was up last night watching playoff baseball. So I get it. Like, I'm all about sports. I just have never downloaded a sports app on my phone. My phone doesn't even know what that is. I do check sports every single day. I just do it in the browser. But I'm telling you, the apps make it very, very easy, and the apps make you more likely to have the notifications. You can kind of see how this thing spirals. The other thing you want to do on your phone is you want to grayscale. Okay. Now this is I don't think this is actually that far of a stretch. Grayscaling your phone is just making it less appealing, and I can actually show you here. This is I got a do not disturb thing going on. Give me one sec here. Okay, this is what my phone looks like. Do you see how gray and black and white it is? Okay, there's no color there. This is my messages app. Oh, well, I got a time restriction on it. Okay, but you can see even the button, right? It's got just a little hint of color, but it's not very colorful. And you know what? I'll bypass my time block's about to come up anyways. I'm just like a couple minutes before. Look at that. Okay, now this looks like nothing, right? Like, what's the big deal? I'll tell you what the big deal is. It actually is less visually stimulating. And remember, we're talking about the gateway drugs here. So if you're less likely to engage with the gateway drugs, you're less likely to fall into pornography. All right? So this is a really, really big deal, optimizing your tech. So we want to draw a hard line in the sand with pornography itself. We want to address the gateway drugs. The third thing that you need to do to detox your brain from pornography is you need to start building meaningful connections, meaningful relationships. All right? You don't need a lot. That John Eldredge really set me free of this. I was feeling a lot of pressure in my 30s to have more friends and have more meaningful connections because I'm a big believer in this idea. And John Eldredge corrected me. He said, actually, Sathya, you really just need 1 to 2 good friends. 1 to 2 good friends that you can talk to, 1 to 2 good friends that you can have open dialogue with on a regular basis. And it doesn't even have to be in person. Obviously, if it's in person, that's better. But if it's virtual, that's okay too. And I thought to myself, hey, that is really flippin' cool. That takes the pressure off. And guess what? Anybody can do that. Nobody has an excuse. In the digital world, are you kidding me? You can't find 1 good friend? Of course you can. The reason this is such a big deal is because the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it's connection. And connection is the thing that satisfies and fulfills our hearts so that we do not wander and lust after things like pornography and the other things that so easily entangle us and entice us down the path that we are trying to avoid. If you want to reset your brain, if you're really serious about this, do not stop at step number 2. That's low-hanging fruit. It's easy to draw a line in the sand with pornography. It's easy to get your tech a little bit cleaned up. This is where the rubber meets the road. Find one person you can meaningfully connect with on a regular basis. You don't even have to tell them about your struggle with pornography. Just connect with them. Just somebody that you intentionally are having transparent, a little bit slightly uncomfortable conversations with, maybe a little bit beyond what you're used to opening up, the level you're used to opening up at. Go a little bit further than that and watch what happens. And I will tell you, you will feel the shift. Your brain will start to reset very, very quickly. Now, if you want your brain to not just reset for a week or a month like we discussed today, but you want it to permanently change, the next step after what we discussed here is to get to the roots of the issue. And that's how you ensure this thing doesn't grow back. To do that, you need to get your hands on The Last Relapse, because that is the system that I've guided over 1,000 men through personally to get to the roots of porn addiction. That book has been read by over 20,000 people, and you can get a free download at thelast relapsebook.com. So make sure you get your copy. God bless you guys. I'll see you in the next one.